Have you ever started a project and then thought, what the hell am I doing? Why did I ever think this was a good idea? Welcome to Setting Up a Mac. So I know I said at the end of my last video that I would be moving on to talking about installing my music software now that I've got the Mac set up and all my drives connected. And I promise you I will do that in the next video. However, first I thought I would share some of the frustrations I've experienced in moving from Windows to Mac OS. The place to start is with Windows. Now, as a long-time Windows user, I like the Windows Explorer. It's comforting, it's easy to use, it doesn't get in your way, it allows you to do all sorts of things that you want to do in terms of file management. It's a breeze. With Apple, what we have is this cheeky chappy down here in the dock called the Finder. And that just doesn't seem to want to work the way you would expect. So let's open it and I'll show you what I mean. I am in my Documents folder. Now let's say I want my Documents folder and I want my Pictures folder open so I can move files between them. So I just go down to Pictures, right click, open in new window. Can you spot the deliberate error? Open in new tab. Yeah. Showing the enclosing folder. Yeah. Open in new window. No. So we open in new tab. And what happens now is that we have our Documents folder and our Pictures folder in 1/4 of the screen. Look at all that real estate that is wasted and working. It's like keyhole surgery on a computer. What were they thinking? What you then have to do is get hold of that tab, and if you drag it out, you can actually have the windows that you wanted side by side just open in a new window. That is so frustrating. That really did annoy me. Another feature of the will be different because we can be category is the keyboard. Now, everybody in the world knows Control-C, Control-V. That's how you cut and paste. Not on a Mac. It's Command-C, Command-V. Well, fine, you want to call it something different, call it something different. I don't care. But everybody knows, and after 40 years of using computers, this little finger knows that if you want to Control-C, Control-V, you put your little finger, this little finger will seek out the bottom left-hand key on the keyboard, plant itself, and then the other fingers can do their thing. Control-C, Control-V, Control-A, control whatever you like. But the little finger knows where it's got to go. Unless you're using an Apple. Now, in fairness, this is a Lenovo ThinkPad. Not very well thought out ThinkPad. That's the Control-C on a Lenovo ThinkPad. This is the one I have for work. Function. Which idiot at IBM thought it was a good idea to put the function key in the bottom left-hand corner where the control key should be? Control key should be. Now, that's why I don't use the keyboard on that. It stays in clamshell mode on my desk when I'm working from home, and I plug in an extra keyboard, and the screen gets HDMI'd up to the big screen where my Mac displays in the evening. Hey, what is the point? You know, I've actually invested in this Logitech keyboard. This is a K850 keyboard, and it has its companion M720 mouse. Now, you'll notice this has 1, 2, 3 across the keyboard. That's because I can actually Bluetooth connect this keyboard, and that mouse also has a 1, 2, 3 on it. See? I can connect them to 3 computers. So I have my Windows laptop, computer number 2, my Mac, computer number 1, and during the day, my work laptop, computer number 3. Now, it's not a perfect solution. When I type on the Logitech, the ThinkPad has a think about it, so I can actually sit here and watch what I've typed fill out across the screen after a moment. It doesn't really work. And the Mac loses its connection to the mouse. I think it sulks, because at the weekend, when I don't have my work laptop going, I only have my own Windows laptop and the Mac going. It's fine. It will happily go between the two. In the week, when I've got the work laptop going, you can guarantee at some point I'm going to have to go fish in the cupboard down there for a plug-in mouse to plug into the Mac so that I can reconnect it to the Bluetooth mouse here. On the topic of Bluetooth keyboards and mice, when you come to set the Mac up, you will need ones with stringy bits of cable coming out to connect to the USB-A ports on the back, because the only keyboards that will automatically Bluetooth to a Mac are Apple's own. Very expensive and, frankly, given the setup I've got, rather useless keyboards. And whatever, I can't remember what the term is that they use for them, but they're pretty and they're white and they only work with Apple. Closed ecosystems, not good. Moving on to setting up your Mac, have a look at this. When I go into system settings, you'll see there, log out Paul. Paul with a capital P. When I go into the Finder, down here, we have desktop documents, all capitalized, and Paul with a capital P. I didn't pay attention when I was setting up the Mac. It tried to set up my username as my full name, but with lowercase. I took out my surname because I just wanted Paul. You know, it's not like there's that many Pauls in this house. Forgot to capitalize it. Didn't worry about it, thought I can fix it later. No, you can't. What I had to do to get that capital P was create a second admin account, admin2. Log out of my account, log into this new admin account that I just created as Paul, and then I could go into my account, Paul, whilst I'm being admin, and change the small p to a large P. At least it gives me a backdoor in if my account ever becomes corrupted. Then logged off as admin2, logged back on as Paul, and had to crash the computer, because having done that, this bar at the top where everything happens, it's down at the bottom on a PC, but of course on a Mac, because it's everything where it's different, it's up at the top. Couldn't find it. It wasn't there. The only way to get control of the computer was to crash it. I was not impressed. Going back to the keyboard, the other thing that drove me slightly nuts was when I came to type in my Apple ID, because I actually had one I found. Years ago, I bought my daughter an iPod, when iPods were a thing, and I'd had to create an Apple ID at the time. So I reactivated that old Apple ID, all well and good, typed it on the keyboard, and what I got was Paul at. I'm not interested in Paul Burrell, but you get the idea. Not, while I didn't get that, I got that. The reason being, for reasons best known to themselves, The keyboard layout is different on Macs than on PCs. The world and his wife know that Shift 2 is a quote and Shift single apostrophe is an at. Not if you're using a Mac. Now, I had told it I was using an English keyboard. I set it up as a British keyboard. That's fine. Still wouldn't have it. I was getting slightly irate about the fact that I couldn't fix this simple transposition. I mean, coming back to the control and command, you can actually swap them round in the settings for a Mac. They've recognised that it drives people so nuts. You can actually go in and reconfigure those buttons so you can have them any which way round you like. I'm not doing it. I'm determined to persevere. Even though I actually have found myself sitting here going, why the hell isn't it pasting? Only to realise I was trying to do Control V on the Mac when I should have been doing Command V. I'll get used to it, I hope, but it is driving me nuts. However, back to at and quotes. I noticed up here in the corner I had that GB keyboard layout. I changed that to British PC, and what do you know? My at is in the right place and my quotes are in the right place. So Shift 2 on my keyboard now gives me double quotes. Shift apostrophe on my keyboard now gives me an at. I'd Googled that and couldn't find the answer, but it was staring me in the face. Rant over. There are some good things about this machine, and I'll come to them in future videos. However, lest this seem that I'm completely down on my new toy. Teething problems. And I've managed to fix most of them. We learn by doing. And so, because we learn by doing, I did my last video on DaVinci Resolve on the Mac. And here is a measure of the power of this beast. The last video was 16 minutes and 21 seconds long. Normally, on my Windows laptop, I would have expected that to take between 16 minutes and 20 minutes to render, depending on other factors, the number of graphics and what have you that I had put in. Rendered on the Mac in 2 minutes 36 seconds. I barely had time to go and make a cup of coffee. And if you think that's fast, wait till you see the latency in Cubase in the next video. Until then, you take care of yourselves.